morning, everyone, and welcome to another update. This is, November 2025. So please ignore the axles on the floor. Those are for my dad's brand new TJ, which he might be TDI swapping soon. So we'll go to the CJ first. I've been driving this a lot more. If I'm 100% honest with you, I'm deeply in love with this BHW engine. The Chinese GTB 2260 VK that I installed with a Whitbread. You can kind of see the adapter plate in between. It would not fit in the Cherokee, but I have plans as well for that. But it's working perfectly fine. I did play with the tune a little bit yesterday. I really don't know much about these PD engines when it comes to the duration, mostly. But I did talk with a couple of people, and they kind of pointed me in the right direction. And this thing is an absolute freaking animal. Be hard to see, but the tachometer has been removed. The speedometer will also be removed, both of the autometer ones. I could never really get those things to function properly, so those will eventually be for sale. But yeah, the the PD engine is something really to behold. It still has the stock BHW injectors. The tune, again, I purchased from Nick Sweeney from Facebook, a buddy of mine. And then I did make some modifications to it yesterday. Yeah, Saturday. And it's super, super cool. I don't know if I discussed it in the last video, but I did get a massive heater for this. Let's see if we can see it. We kind of can. I think it's just a universal setup for like a side-by-side, and the heat that comes out of that thing is great. So I guess now I feel more comfortable. If I have to take this out in the wintertime, it'll do perfectly fine. But yeah, that's the update for the CJs. Now on to the Cherokee. This week I pulled the entire interior out and did, not Dynomat, but you know, the cheap Chinesium equivalent of it. I used an entire box minus one roll for the entire body of it, the bottom all the way back to the trunk. And to be quite honest, I was very surprised at how much it reduced the noise from the ALH. I still drive this back and forth daily. Still doing perfectly well. I have really no issues, knock on wood. We are still running the GTD 1756 VRK, which spools super fast. But I am contemplating buying another Chinese GTB 2056 like that one, or a GTB 2260 VK. Full flooded welding too. But other than that, I do seem to have a little bit of an issue with the Holley black pump. I've been driving this one again for the last 2 days. And it gives me about 13 PSI, and it holds 13 PSI, and even if you kind of romp into it, it stays about the same. Granted, it's a different type of fueling system. With this one, I'm around 9, 10, 11, and if I get into it, I can see 0. So I don't know if it is a sensor issue, it is a ALH issue. I don't really know because I can't compare anymore. It still works perfectly fine. There are no abnormal noises. So we'll kind of see if it lasts. If it lasts, great. If it doesn't, then there are a couple companies that sell these billet drop-ins for the GenRight 30-gallon fuel tank I have in the back. So I would just run dual pumps, technically one pump at a time, and if it fails, then I can swap over, because it is a tremendous pain in the rear to get the to drop that tank, and to get everything lined back up, the tank, the skid plate, and then the tow hitch that I have on the back. But yeah, she's been doing perfectly fine. Super thrilled with it. Oh, another thing. So I've been contemplating really hard getting another PD motor and putting it in here. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, cruise control stopped working on the CJ. I'm still not entirely sure, but hopefully when my brother comes down in July, we'll be able to kind of diagnose that and figure that out. Until then, I mean, the ALH it's super, super great. It's nice being able to throw cruise control on if you want it, but it's not, necessarily something that I need. A couple of times people have asked me to compare the ALH and the PDs. So if we remember, the CJ7 has 410s. This has 355s from the factory. This has 31-inch tires. This one has 33-inch mud tires. The power delivery on the PD is very linear and very smooth. When you get into it, it makes an unbelievably awesome sound because it is, in my opinion, a much quieter engine, especially with this thing having no insulation. It's basically a tin can. The ALH with the 11mm pump, some 280 full flow injectors, and of course the GTD 1756 VRK. This thing it's very raw. It's very, it's beastly. Like, you get into it and basically at any pedal input, she takes off really, really, really hard. So it is significantly louder, this engine, over that one. This is a PD 150 lower end, of course, with an ALH. But I don't know. I couldn't tell you which one I prefer. They both, do well. I would assume that this one, in theory, if I tuned it right, would get better fuel efficiency than the PD. But, that's not really what I'm after. All right, so what's on the horizon? So this is a Euro manual car coolant flange. I welded a 3/8 NPT because I just use a series of those pieces to make my elbows to go off and do what I needed to. So this is a aftermarket sensor that, of course, has a pigtail to plug into the VW harness. I have been able to, thanks to my brother, I have been able to scale the map for the coolant temp sensor to actually run, alternative sensors as opposed to the stock Volkswagen one. Before people ask, there's nothing wrong with the stock Volkswagen one, but when you do swaps, sometimes it is convenient to be able to put sensors wherever you want to. For example, you'll see that I have my fan cooling sensor, my radiator fan sensor right there. I have a coolant pressure sensor that goes to the dash. It tells me if my coolant pressure is high, meaning I lifted the head. And then my temp sensor is on the back, connected to one of those brass manifolds that I build. So I have tested it, but I haven't really thrown it on a vehicle yet. I very may well, but we'll see. So yeah, that's what I'm kind of messing with now. So yeah. Finally, I've decided to part with my mechanical injection pump. For those who don't know, it is a custom 12mm pump that came on an international engine on a vehicle in the military called the Growler. I did run this on the CJ7 for a bit. It works well. It is extremely powerful. In theory, it makes more power than the 11mm electronic pumps we can get on the ALHs. So it will come with the studs to mount it that I made. You might make better ones, but they worked for me. The AHU pulley, the Woodruff key. I think I actually have a spare Woodruff key in there. It'll also come with these things here, the Gunson pickup sets. I do only have one piezo injector. The other one was messed up because I bought it used. And then it comes with technically three fuel pins. It comes with a stock fuel pin, it comes with a Volkswagen fuel pin, and then it comes with the Denny T's or something like that. I think we talked about it in the last video. I'll find a link and put it up. So the price is going to be $1,500 shipped for everything within the continental United States. But yeah, so this is, one of the very few options you have to do MTDI. You can, of course, go with Giles, and Giles is I think upwards of $3,000. And this pump can make more power than his stock one that he charges around $3,000 for. So it's an opportunity. I'll post it up in my Facebook group when I decide to actually do it, but just to make everyone aware that it will be for sale here shortly. Also, the hood. I changed the hood. I didn't like the water that was coming in and making the old turbo before I blew it up all rusty. So I went to the local junkyard and pulled one off of, I think, a 96. Painted it, ordered some Monster Liner for the top, Jungle Love, and then the actual jam paint for the bottom. And it's pretty from afar, but far from pretty. But other than that, like I said, that's the basic update. Maybe eventually I'll swap this into a PD, either a BEW or BHW.